Hi, ako si Pax. Long time no see. At dahil gusto kong bumawi sa inyo, in this episode, pag-uusapan natin ang pinaka-importanting theory sa music, the major scale. This is the foundation of all Western music and probably halos karamihan ng mga kantang pinapakinggan nyo ay ginagamit ito. Now, once you understand this, you will have a new perspective sa pagsulat ng kanta, guitar solos, and improvisation. Ready? Two parts ang video na ito kaya bibigyan ko muna kayo ng overview ng pag-uusapan natin. So sa pagsulat ng guitar solos or ng kanta, may apat na bagay tayong kinoconsider primarily sa pagpili ng notes. Una, yung key ng kanta. You can think of a key as a library of notes that work together in harmony. May sense, hindi sintonado. Pangalawa, para mahanap natin yung set of notes sa isang key, we will use a scale. Pangatlo, mula sa mga notes ng isang key, i-explain ko sa inyo kung paano dinederive yung chords dahil pang-apat, kailangan natin yung chords para bigyan ng direksyon yung structure ng mga guitar solos or linya natin. So for part 1, we will talk about the major key, the major scale, and the patterns you need to memorize to get everything under your sleeve. So part 2 naman, we will talk about chords and how it should influence your note choices. Game. Let's start with the key. There are 12 distinct notes sa European or Western music, namely C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B. Now, these are just 12 notes, but as you can see sa guitar or sa piano, there are more than 12 things you can press. So paano yun? Now, that's because yung notes ay uulit lang. I'll arrange it in a circle for you to better visualize this. So for example, if we start from a C and start playing one fret after the other, you will hear na after the 12th note, which is a B, yung next note is katunog lang ng C but higher. Now that is what we call an octave. And the same thing happens if we move backwards. So all in, ito yung notes sa fretboard ng isang guitar na nakatune in standard tuning. Now it's hard to make music using all of these notes. Well, some can. Pero para mapadali yung buhay natin, we can pick specific notes that make sense with each other. A library of notes in harmony. And this library is what we call a key. And it can be a major or a minor key. But for now, we will just focus on major keys dahil ito nga yung foundation ng Western music theory. Now, a key will always have a center note or what we call a tonic. At pinapangalan ng isang key based sa tonic nito. So for example, C major, it will have a tonic C. Same goes for D major, D. Or say G sharp, G sharp. So we have 12 major keys, sound-wise, dahil meron tayong 12 distinct notes. So bakit importante ang keys? Because songs are written following a specific key or note library, and it will as much as possible keep using the same notes para ma-maintain yung harmony ng kanta. Say, Jiggle Jiggle is in key of C sharp major, and C sharp major has the notes C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, and back to C sharp. So this means sa Jiggle Jiggle, the notes of the song will only revolve around these notes. So if you know the notes of C sharp, you can write your own lines and it will sound okay pag tumugtog ka with Jiggle Jiggle. So paano natin mahanap yung notes ng isang key? Dito papasok yung scale, which is sort of an instruction for us to find the notes of a key. And since we are talking about the major keys, ang scale na kailangan natin ay, you guessed it right, major scale. So the major scale has the formula tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. But what is a tone and a semitone? Okay. It's a space between notes or what we call intervals. A tone is 2 notes away from a reference note. Say G, a tone from G is A. And the semitone is half of that. So one note away. This is G sharp. So tone, semitone. So let's apply that formula to the key of C major. Let's have our chromatic circle here para mas ma-visualize ninyo what is happening sa notes. So, since this is the key of C major, so C is our origin note or tonic. Now, according to our formula, the next note is a tone from C. So, a tone from C will give us D. Add another tone, we will have E. Add a semitone, we will have F. Add a tone G, another tone A, another tone B, and finally a semitone taking us back to our tonic C, which is now an octave higher. And you can repeat the pattern and you will get the same notes ng mas mataas lang. To summarize, yung notes ng key of C major ay C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back to our tonic C. Now, let's translate the notes of the key of C major sa guitar. Kanina, we plotted all of the 12 notes sa fretboard, which is basically every note possible. Pero ngayon, ang i-highlight lang natin ay yung notes ng key of C major. And it will look like this. Now, if I play these notes on top of a C major song, kahit random sequence lang ang gawin ko, I will sound like as if I know what I'm doing. Kaso syempre nakakahilo kung ganito mo i-memorize yung scale, di ba? Ang dami eh. So we will divide this to 5 unique shapes. And if you remember, the notes just repeat after 12 frets. So we just have to memorize a few shapes to cover the entirety of the fretboard. Yung iba, uulit na lang by octave. So there are 5 shapes that you need to memorize by heart. And this is position 1. Now, I know it's weird that it started in the middle tapos ang tawag natin ay position 1. Pero ang importante kasi dito ay yung shape. And this is position 1 dahil this shape starts with the tonic C, your key. Later, this will be very important. For now, proceed tayo sa position 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, position 2. Position 3. Position 4. Well, you can play that here. And lastly, position 5. For total beginners, it's okay to prioritize positions 1, 3, and 5 dahil yung mga positions na ito ay kung saan typically nag-a-appear yung mga guitar lines na tinutugtog natin. So now that you have the notes of the key of C major, what you can do is just play the positions over a C major progression. Feel the harmony, and you can also start creating your own melodies. may sound unstable for now, pero ang importante is you let your fingers be familiar with the shape and the stretches. So, C major scale, done. Pero paano naman sa ibang keys? Now, let's go back to our chromatic circle. Let's try the key of B major. So now, the tonic is B. Let's apply the formula. From our tonic B, tone is C sharp, tone D sharp, semitone E, tone F sharp, tone G sharp, tone A sharp, and finally, a semitone B, resolving to our tonic, na ngayon ay isang octave na. Now, i-highlight natin yung notes ng key of B major sa fretboard. Do you notice something? Yung general pattern ng B major ay kamukha din ng C major, nakaatras lang ng isang semitone. Since B is one semitone lower than C, so if we do the math, aatras lang lahat ng isang position. Now, what can we conclude from that shifting ng scale? This means yung distance ng target tonic natin from C will be the same amount of shift sa lahat ng notes ng C major scale papunta sa target scale mo. So, for example, we want D major. D is 2 half steps above C. So, ito yung C, 1, 2, D. So, D major scale is just C major scale plus 2 frets sa lahat. So, C major yon. So, plus 2 frets sa lahat. So for example naman, we want the key of A major. So A is 3 half steps below C. So C, B, B flat, A. So gagalaw lang lahat yung shape ng buong C major scale minus 3 frets. So ito na siya. A major. Pero masyadong mabagal kung imamath mo yun every time, diba? So ang mas mabilis na workaround is utilizing position 1. Naalala nyo kanina sabi ko, importante yung position 1 kasi nga 'di ba, this position has the tonic as its first note. So what we can do is simply memorize all of the notes sa low E string, which is very easy dahil meron lang naman 12 notes tapos uulit na yon after ng 12 frets. So from the open string, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat. O, balik na tayo sa E niyan. So, uulit na lang ulit nun. So, from here, we sort of have a map of notes. And think of position 1 and its tonic as the anchor. Ilalapat natin yan sa target na scale natin. So, for example, gagamit ako ng G major scale. Ang gagawin ko lang is hahanapin ko yung G sa low E string. So, ito yung G. And then, ilalatag ko na yung position 1. And voila, meron ka ng G major scale. Now to find the other positions, we just need to remember the distances ng other positions relative to the tonic. So balik muna tayo sa C major ulit to analyze. So again, this is position 1. And position 3 is just 4 frets above the tonic. So if this is your tonic, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's your position 3. And position 5 is 3 frets below the tonic. So, 1, 2, 3. Nandun ang position 5. So, if we're gonna use a different key, since everything will move, diba? The relative distances will remain the same. So, let's go back sa G major to test this out. So, again, position 1 natin dito sa tonic na G. So, from our tonic plus 4 frets, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's your position 3. So, sa position 5 naman, balik tayo ulit sa tonic, tapos minus 3 frets. 1, 2, 3, open string. And then, apply your position 5. Ganun lang kasimple. So, assignment nyo na lang to know the distances ng positions 2 and 4. Kaya nyo yan. So, okay, let's hear G major scale in context. Okay, so to wrap things up, a key is a library or group of notes that work together, resolving to a tonic or a central note. A scale is an instruction or a sequence of notes dividing an octave. And for this instance, we use the major scale to find the notes of the major keys. Pero ang scales ay hindi lang natatapos dito. You will find a lot of different scales that don't necessarily produce the sound of major keys. Some sound exotic, jazzy, oriental, at marami pang iba. Few thoughts lang na importanteng marinig nyo na habang maaga pa. The scales are meant to help you track down a note library. Tandaan nyo yan. Mapa major scale man yan, minor scale, pentatonic, etc. And I just want to stress out na hindi nyo to kailangan tugtugin ng dire-diretsyong sequence or graduated kapag nagsusulat or improvise kayo. Like halimbawa, hindi necessarily ganun siya tinutugtog. The scale shapes are not guitar lines. Think of them as pieces of a whole map, note maps. And you are free to roam around and craft your own sound sa tulong nito. But yes, okay, for now, since nagmamuscle and visual memory pa kayo, okay lang naman yung sequential na pagtugtog muna. Anyway, what I'm just trying to say, theory-wise, it does not end here. Once you get over this learning curve, ang next step na is how to choose notes from the scale na bagay sa chord or context ng tinutugtog nyo. You see, the more we become intentional sa note choices natin, mas nagiging interesting yung mga lines. Kaya sa part 2, we will talk about navigating the scale in the context of chords in a key. And we will talk about chord theory and target notes. So, see you sa part 2. Ako si Pax. Hanggang sa muli, tugtog lang.